Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic BARCLAY, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. I'm your host, Magic BARCLAY, and today I'm joined by Rachel Astarte. Rachel is a psychotherapist, author, educator, and podcaster. She's the author of both fiction and non-fiction titles, all of which promote individual healing and wellness. Her non-fiction guide, Celebrating Solitude, How to Discover and Honor Your Highest Self, has featured in Oprah's Oxygen magazine, Huffington Post, Insider, and several wellness podcasts. Rachel was also a contributor to Dr. Bernie S. Siegel's A Book of Miracles. Rachel hosts the podcast Self-Talk with Rachel Astarte, which helps listeners develop a healthy sense of self and is available wherever all podcasts are streamed. Welcome, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Magic. It's a pleasure being with you.
It's certainly an honor to have you here. Now, let's get straight into it. I ask the same 3 questions of all of my guests, and everyone gives me such a wonderfully different answer. So here we go. The first one is, what can your expertise do to accelerate health? Not just physical, but also emotional and spiritual health.
It's a great question. So as a self-specialist, I'm someone who helps my patients develop a healthy foundation of self. And what that does, honestly, I believe it helps in all areas of our health, of mental health, spiritual health, and physical health. When we have a healthy foundation of self, that is, we feel safe and secure and balanced in our lives, that really helps us to present our best selves to the world. It makes sense, of course, that mentally we might feel healthful because we are living our best lives, and spiritually as well, but also physically, because when we are at peace with ourselves, our nervous systems are regulated and calm. And that, of course, helps to reduce inflammation in the body. Inflammation is something that causes pretty much every illness that we encounter as human beings. So the work that I do really does help on those 3 levels of well-being.
Wow, that's a fantastic take on it. I love that. Now, we talk about wealth here as well. So people think wealth is just the financial, like how much money do I have? What am I worth in currency? That kind of thing. But wealth is so much more than that. And it's also, the emotional wealth that you have and your spiritual or personal wealth. So what are your top 3 tips to creating wealth of any kind?
First of all, I appreciate your definition of wealth because, yes, it isn't necessarily just about money or that kind of definition. Wealth is much richer than that, to use, forgive the pun. But when we live a life that we are content with, when we feel like we are living our best lives, the wealth that comes from that is a sense of well-being. Individually, we don't need anyone to tell us that we're living our best lives because we know it, we feel it, and that's priceless. To be able to negotiate life's challenges, knowing that the choices that you make are going to be right for you in that moment. That's a really powerful currency. Also, and I mentioned this earlier, there's a physical sense of well-being, just being able to regulate your nervous system. That's also priceless. We think about preventive medicine. Preventive medicine is where we take care of ourselves before we need medical assistance, which can be, at least in my country, very expensive. And so when we do preventive medicine, we are contributing toward our future health and the wealth of our future well-being, just, saving money by taking care of ourselves. So again, clearing out all of the blocks and challenges that you might have in your life, you get paid back in the currency of living a healthy, physically healthy life. And finally, I'm going to bend the definition of wealth here, because we're not even talking about our own wealth, but the wealth that you contribute to the community comes from this inner work as well. Because when you are living your best life, your most congruent life, you are actually giving back to the world. So in a way, you're making the world around you a wealthier place, if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. And I love that you bent that inference of wealth, that meaning, because yes, community wealth isn't possible without you. Yeah, I really do love that. That's great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Now, look, we do talk about weight loss here. Many people battle with their weight quite needlessly, often due to stress and certainly a disconnection of self. So, have you ever battled your weight? And if so, what was the trigger to lose it? What can you offer the listeners who might be on this journey?
I can't say that I've battled my weight, at least not in the way that I think that you're saying. I've certainly, and I think a lot of people can relate to this, fallen victim to other people's expectations of what a body should look like. And I think that's so terribly damaging. In fact, part of the way we see our bodies is what got me into this field, because our bodies are the vessels for our souls. That's really the long and short of it. And so when we think about our bodies as our allies, and this is really important, I know it's very difficult for people who are battling with their weight to see their bodies as a friend, as an ally. But when we start to do this, when we start to really rack up how many ways our bodies have helped us, right? So we're not looking at the image of the body. Oh, we're supposed to look like X or have these measurements or this weight on a scale, right? We're looking at it in terms of functionality. So, if we like a sport and our bodies move beautifully as we play tennis or we run or whatever it is, that's amazing, right? Every time you've been ill and recovered, your body did that. That's amazing. It's kept you alive. And if you're a mother, oh my goodness, what your body can do, and that you can create a human being inside of it and feed that baby should you so choose to breastfeed. Incredible. We overlook the power of the human body. And when we start to see it as our ally, when we start to see it as the container of our soul, we have a whole new respect for it. So can you get to a point where you say, yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I still want to lose X amount of weight? Well, then go ahead. But I guarantee you, you will not do it successfully if you don't enter that relationship with your body as an equal, right? So you may have a best friend who has some irritating habits, but you don't end that friendship. You put up with it. You work together, you talk stuff out. Same thing with your body. When you're trying to lose weight or get healthier or whatever it is, when you start to work with your body instead of feeling like you're working against it, that's when the success happens. I'm going to tell you a little thing a lot of people don't know about weight loss, or maybe they do, but they forget it. When we diet or crash diet or starve ourselves or whatever it is, our body, the nervous system of the body, begins to believe that we are in fight or flight mode. When we're in fight or flight mode, all of our major systems shut down in order to gather our energy to do what needs to be done to deal with this oncoming threat. One of the first systems that shuts down is your digestive system. So if you're stressed out or you're down on yourself or you hate the diet you're on, you're putting yourself into this fight or flight state. And the very first system that's going to shut down is your digestive system, which means your metabolism has slowed. So that means anything you eat will be processed more slowly. So it may look like, well, I'm dieting. Why am I not losing weight? That may be one of the reasons why. So another reason why we need to approach our physical wellness with as much joy and pleasure as we can. So you may say, well, I'm overweight. I don't like it. If you change that to I'm overweight and I'm working to get this beautiful machine that I'm in to where I want it to be, and we're working together and we'll get there, your entire nervous system relaxes, and that allows you to process food faster or more efficiently, right? So it's really about having a new relationship with our bodies, that it's not just this thing we carry around that we aren't connected to, but rather that we're intimately connected with, and that can really be, an ally to us, a friend to us.
That's such a great definition there, and some really great information about the fight flight scenario. And you're right about the digestive system shutting down. And I think this contributes to, when people come off diets and they've lost a whole lot of weight, but then it comes straight back.
That's right. That's right.
It's like, well, now you can digest things because your body doesn't see you under threat. So it's going to store things just in case you become under threat again.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And also think about it this way, and this is a very practical way of looking at it. You may have dieted successfully and lost the weight you wanted. You struggled through it. You did it. Congratulations. Now what? Right? So is that sustainable? So we don't want to diet. That's ridiculous, because at some point that diet is going to end. And at some point the scale is going to say what you want, or the measuring tape is going to say what you want, but you aren't living your life. You were on a temporary food vacation, but now you got to get back to living. So when we think about adjusting our relationship with food, first of all, but also eating pleasurably, eating in a way that gives us joy. So I'm a big proponent of not saying no to food, but to changing proportions or to be fully present when you eat. That's another big thing, to really enjoy it without guilt. Now you're calming your system down. And so that's a lifestyle change, and that's much more effective for long-term weight management.
There's some great information there, and I know we've just touched the surface, so I would love to have you back in our next episode. But for now, Rachel, we love freebies here. What can you offer the listeners?
I actually have on my website, it should be there. If it isn't, that's okay. People can contact me through my website. I have a wonderful guided meditation that I'd love to offer your listeners. It's called The Holy Self, and it really takes you through perhaps your first experience of what it feels like to be fully present in your body and fully present in your spirit, and recognizing the light that you are, your connection to source, and how it lives within you and radiates out of you. So I'd be very happy to share that with anybody who is interested.
That sounds beautiful. And your website is rachelastartetherapy.com.
Correct.
RACHELASTARTE therapy.com. Listeners, pop over there for that guided meditation. You're absolutely going to love it. Now, Rachel, we will see you back in episode 193. Listeners, for now, thank you for your time. Go forth and create your magical life. Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.